Hello. Well, today I'm in my bee apothecary or bee pharmacy. I've turned my kitchen into a bee pharmacy today because I'm going to be making a propolis tincture. Now, raise your hand if you know what propolis is. So my friend Gina asked me to make her a propolis spray, and so I've made a tincture before, and you have to have a tincture to make the spray. And so we're going to start on the tincture today. Actually, I have an old tincture that I made quite a while ago. So the thing about propolis is, if you didn't know, bees are wonderful, amazing creatures that God has made. And one of the things that they harvest is resin from all kinds of trees, In fact, I just learned that when they analyzed some propolis, they found at least 300 different trees that they had taken resin from. And resin is that gooey, sappy-like stuff under the bark. And so they take that resin back to the hive and they make a glue. So it's basically, people call it bee glue. And what do they do with the glue? Well, any crack in their hive box where you put two boxes together and you know, around that rim where it's together, they will propolize, and all they do is stuff that propolis glue into any crack, any hole, anything, and they glue their hive together. And I mean, it is the most sticky, hard stuff to get unglued. So we have a hive tool that I've shown before in my video, a metal strong hive tool that you wedge in between two boxes on your hive and pry it up. And so it takes a hive tool. You cannot do it with your bare hands. You cannot undo those boxes. You have to have a hive tool. And that stuff is so strong. And they glue everything in there. They glue the frames down to the top of the box where they're sitting. And so you have to have a hive tool to get those out. They glue everything together. They love gluing. And so when I collect honey, I also collect propolis because there's propolis on the tops of the frames. And it's I use my sharp end of my hive tool and scrape it off. So, and also on the rim of the top of the box, it's always propolis. I scrape the propolis off of that, and so I collect propolis. So I'm going to show you a little collection that I have right here. And it is down here on this wax paper. I've been going through it and cleaning. Let it soak just a little bit, but let me get a close-up. So here is dried propolis. Now, if this was the least bit warm, I couldn't hold it because it's so sticky. I mean, it will stick to your finger. This is why beekeepers wear gloves. One of the reasons, because it sticks to you. It's hard to get off. And so this is dry and it's a little cool, so it is not sticky right now. I mean, it's a little bit sticky, but it's hard and kind of crumbly. So let's start off with propolis. And what I'm going to do to make my tincture is I have to use a high proof alcohol, and most people use Everclear, which is a vodka, and that's 190 proof. And so, and funny story, I had never been in a liquor store. And so when I decided to start making tinctures, and propolis isn't the only tincture I make, but I just popped myself into this local liquor store, and they had to help me find what I wanted. And so I've been back like a couple times to get more because I make a lot of tinctures. So I use the 190 proof Everclear. You cannot use rubbing alcohol, anything like that. It's not for consumption. So there it is. I'm sure a lot of y'all know what that is. So I get my propolis and I weigh it. So I've already weighed out this much propolis, which comes to 1 ounce. 1 ounce. And so I've weighed out my Everclear and I've got 6 ounces of Everclear. Now you usually do a 1 to 9, but you can do a 1 or 2 to 9. Oh my word, there's a dog running around. Okay. That's my grandson's dog. So I'm using actually a 1 to 6. So it's going to be a little stronger, but that's okay. Because propolis has so many health benefits to it. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So all I'm going to do right now is take my propolis and put it in a jar. Just got a quart jar right here with a wide mouth. They're just easier to work with, wide mouths. So, putting all of that in here. And like I said, if this was not cold, it would be really hard to work with. So now I'm taking my Everclear. Gonna cover this tincture, cover this propolis. And there you have it. So now I put the lid on that, and the Everclear is going to draw out the properties of the propolis. And so that's why you use that kind of alcohol. It draws out whatever you put in here, flowers or anything else. It will draw out all the good properties of that substance. And so I'm going to keep this in my pantry, and it's going to sit for a week or two. And then I will have to come back and strain it. Okay. And I will show that process as well. Okay, so I labeled my propolis tincture in the making, and I put on here that it was a 1 to 6 ratio, and I put the date on here because I won't remember all that. And so now it's going in my pantry where it's dark, and I'm going to store it down there, which I have another tincture down here as well, which has already been done. This is an elderberry and flower tincture, okay? But it is done with brandy whiskey. And, no, bourbon, I'm sorry. Bourbon whiskey. So, yeah, I had to get that at my local liquor store. And I don't drink. So that's the kind I use. Well, it's backwards, I know. But Benchmark, Kentucky, bourbon. So that goes back there. And this stuff, that stuff is strong. So here's how that started, the flower tincture. Here's all my flower mixture in here. It's got all kind of stuff. It's got dandelions and hibiscus, and I can't even remember what all is in there. Calendula, chamomile. So that's another tincture. And these tinctures are all for health purposes. So you take them for prophylaxis to keep from getting sick. You can take them when you're sick. You take just a little bit more when you're sick, and you don't take much. You know, it's like a teaspoon or a dropper full, especially the propolis. Now, let's talk about propolis. So propolis is, like I said, sticky. And even after you put it in the alcohol and you strain it and do all that, pour it in your little bottle, it's got sticky properties. And I can actually show you that because I have some already made up that I use. And, whoa, just hit my coffee maker. So here it is. And you can see it's got residue on the outside. That's because, some of it comes off. And now it's gonna be hard. Okay, I got that open, thankfully. But if you can see around the cap there, it is, that's the propolis that is gathered. And when I pull it out, that's what it looks like. Now I'm gonna get a little bit off here. I'm gonna show you on my finger. So, there is the propolis, and when that dries, it's gonna be sticky on my finger, but that's okay. So when you put propolis, when you take propolis, I usually put it in some water, but you can take it straight, which if you're brave, because it kind of burns because of that alcohol. But you put it in the back of your throat and it'll coat your throat. And it's also used like an antibacterial, and it closes up wounds. It's like a liquid Band-Aid. This is already sticky on my finger. And it has so many medicinal properties to it because of all those trees that they get it from. You know that aspirin was made from a birch tree. I think it was a birch tree. That's where they got aspirin. And of course now it's all chemicalized. So, if you go back to the days when people didn't make synthetic things, they used real live things from nature, from trees, from plants, all kind of stuff, mushrooms. And, and every part of like a dandelion is good for you, edible. You can make teas with it. You can make salads with it. You can extract the good benefits from it, like I'm doing in my tincture over there, which I need to strain and put in another jar. But, so propolis is an amazing product that comes from the bees. And it is so good for you. The medicinal properties of propolis just are almost endless. I mean, it's kind of like one of those miracle things. But who has access to propolis? Well, beekeepers. You can also buy some online. But since Gina, asked me to make her a spray, and she's going to use that for her throat, and you just spray the back of your throat with that for sore throats, for, who doesn't have a sore throat here in the South in the winter. And so she wanted me to do that, so I am getting that started for her, and she'll have it in a week or two, and she'll be using that. So I will actually start making more of these products for anybody that is interested and wants to try them. But I will be back later to finish out my propolis tincture. But that's all I have on that right now. And thanks for watching. Well, I'm back. I thought I would just go ahead and show you how I processed this elderberry tincture. I don't remember if I said it was elderberry, but it is. It's elderberry with chamomile, calendula, hibiscus, the bourbon, ginger root, and honey. So a lot of good stuff in there. So when you do a tincture, you have to shake it every day, turn it upside down and back to just help it process better, and just really get all the good properties out of that, draw it out. So that just helps. So anyway, this has been going since December the 20th. So it is time now to process this. Well, I'm back. About to lose my camera. Well, I'm back, and I thought I would just show you some of the tinctures and syrups I've made with different things. And all these things came from my yard and the liquor store. Well, not all of them came from the yard. I had to buy some calendula and some chamomile, but I can grow that, and that is my goal, to grow the things that I use. So here we go. I just have 4 things right now to show. So I have the elderberry with whiskey. All right, all this is elderberry berries that I got out of my yard that's growing wild, and that bourbon whiskey that I've used before. And it just, you kind of mash the berries up a little bit and pour the alcohol over them, and then it has to sit for several weeks, and then you strain it and you get your tincture. And then I have the elderberry with the flower tincture that I have showed earlier. All the different flowers, had calendula, chamomile, hibiscus, ginger root, and the bourbon, and has honey in it. So this is very awesome. Has so many different things in it. And that's and I put it in the dropper bottle, of course, so I can use it like that. Because you only use 1/4 to 1/2 of a teaspoon of these things, unless you're sick, and then you can use a whole teaspoon, and you can take them 2 or 3 times a day. All right, then I have my propolis tincture, which I've showed before. And then last but not least, I have my fermented elderberry honey. So there's a lot of honey in here, but when you ferment it, it gets so liquid. You see that? And so this is elderberries that were actually covered in honey, and they had to sit for a while, and you had to shake them and turn them and all that every day. And then once they get to the point that they are ready, you strain them and put them in your jar. And so also one thing I like to make that I did not make this year, I didn't get enough garlic out of my crop. Hopefully next year I will. And it is fermented garlic honey. And all these things are for wellness, for colds, for flus, to boost your immune system. And there's been a lot of studies done. You see elderberry sold in stores everywhere now. Elderberry cough syrups and all that good stuff. So this elderberry fermented honey is good for that. And elderberry is expensive when you find it in a store. They're very hard to work with, those little bitty berries. I mean, they're so tiny. And picking them off of their little branches is hard, and there's different techniques that kind of helps with that. But you end up with purple hands and purple everywhere. But it's worth it in the long run. And I got so many elderberries this year, I was able to freeze some. And so I've been making things along with those, and I still have a few left. But anyway, I just want to show you those fun things that you can do to make your own medicines and help keep you well during this season. And it is very cold and getting colder right now in Mississippi. So thanks for watching.